Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast. Have you ever stopped to consider how an entire nation, the second largest economy in the world, decides to completely rethink the very foundations of urban life?
It's a fascinating prospect, isn't it?
Moving not just from, sheer expansion, but towards a more intelligent, maybe human-centered evolution. Today, we're exploring China's ambitious new vision for its cities and the profound implications of this monumental shift. This isn't merely about building bigger or faster. It's about making urban centers livable, beautiful, resilient, civilized, and smart by 2035. It's a massive undertaking. We're talking interconnected city clusters, advanced urban management systems. It's on a scale that really demands our attention.
And that's precisely what we're here to do. We'll unpack the core arguments and the bright spots of this strategy, looking at the ingenious ways China plans to achieve these goals. But we won't stop there. We'll also critically examine the underlying challenges, the nuanced realities that could, make or break this ambitious plan. We'll draw on some additional insights, too, to give you the fullest picture possible. It's about understanding not just the grand blueprint, but the practicalities and pitfalls, urban reinvention on an unparalleled scale.
Okay, let's unpack this then. China's recent past, it's been defined by a truly staggering growth spurt. Can you even picture this? In just the first decade of its big urban push, builders poured more concrete than America did in all of the 20th century.
Incredible. Just incredible.
Urban areas ballooned by an incredible 40%. It was an era of just raw, almost limitless expansion.
Right.
But that era, the one powered by relentless construction, it's now unequivocally over. We've seen the dramatic slump in the property market, maybe best exemplified by Evergrande's delisting. That was August 25th, 2025, wasn't it?
That's right. Once China's largest developer, that was a clear, unmissable signal that the old model was simply, unsustainable.
A huge signal.
Absolutely. That delisting wasn't just some corporate event. It was like a punctuation mark on a whole chapter of history. And in response, we've seen Beijing announce a truly profound strategic pivot. The official guidance that came out August 28th. It isn't just a minor adjustment.
Not just tweaking things.
No. It's a real explicit shift. It actively discourages large-scale urban expansion, moving instead to focus intensely on upgrading existing infrastructure and enhancing urban management. It's a complete paradigm shift, moving the national directive from build more to, quite literally, run better.
Run better. That sounds deceptively simple, but for a country of China's scale, that's monumental. So if the focus is no longer on endless outward expansion, what does this running better actually look like on the ground? What's the new engine of growth they're betting on?
Crucially, the new engines of growth are being conceptualized as these city clusters. And these aren't just collections of cities that happen to be geographically close. They're designed to be deeply integrated economic powerhouses. The strategy highlights three critical coastal flagships: the Jing-Jin-Ji region around Beijing, the bustling Yangtze River Delta, and especially the Greater Bay Area, or GBA.
Ah, yes, the GBA.
Yeah.
Connecting Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong.
Exactly. And to give you a sense of the scale, the ambition we're talking about, the GBA alone is home to over 86 million residents.
86 million? That's more than France.
France, yeah. And generates more than RMB 14 trillion in GDP. These clusters are designed to harness existing density and create new synergistic efficiencies by linking everything together.
That GBA figure is just staggering. And the literal connective tissue, the backbone that makes these super regions function, that has to be transit, right? What are we seeing there?
Absolutely spot on. Without seamless movement, these clusters are just individual cities next to each other.
They don't really integrate?
Exactly. Without robust transit, they don't function as a single unit. And we're talking about metro build-outs on a scale that's almost hard to comprehend. Shenzhen, for instance, boasts roughly 614 kilometers of metro lines. Guangzhou has an astounding 868 kilometers.
Wow. Just for comparison, London's underground is, around 400 kilometers?
Just shy of 400, yes.
Yeah.
So you see the scale difference. These aren't just lines on a map. They're effectively erasing distances. They're creating vast supercommuter zones where jobs and maybe more affordable homes are suddenly within a 20 or 30-minute bullet train ride.
So it's not just about getting people from A to B faster. It's fundamentally reshaping how people live and work, isn't it?
Precisely. Take the story of Deng Yanqing, a 40-year-old from central China. He now commutes 25-30 minutes by bullet train from Suzhou to Shanghai for work. He found he could afford a home in Suzhou, which offered him a greater sense of belonging and, the freedom to spend his money on things beyond just rent.
That makes a huge difference.
It does. These physical links are profoundly reshaping individual lives. offering economic opportunities and a sense of rootedness that simply wasn't possible before.
Yeah.
It transforms these dense urban centers from maybe intimidating, unaffordable places into accessible hubs within a broader network.
That's a powerful human story illustrating the impact. But beyond the concrete and the rail lines, you mentioned smart city operations. How does technology fit into this vision of running better without endless expansion? Because that's a whole other layer.
Indeed. Beyond the physical infrastructure, the operational sophistication is absolutely key. And that's where smart city operations come in. Hangzhou's City Brain, powered by AI and Alibaba, is probably the prime example. And this isn't just some fancy dashboard.
Right, not just for show.
No, it's an integrated system that pulls data from thousands of sources. Traffic cameras, traffic lights, government records, even police reports. It then uses AI to analyze patterns and make real-time adjustments.
So it's essentially like an urban nervous system.
You could say that, yeah. And it reportedly leads to tangible improvements. Things like shorter response times for emergency services, which can be life-saving, and significantly smoother arterial flow for traffic. What's particularly noteworthy, I think, is its expansion into one-stop digital resident services.
Meaning
Citizens can access a whole host of government services, from paying bills to applying for permits, all through a single digital platform. It's really about optimizing the existing infrastructure, managing resources more intelligently, and improving the quality of urban life through data and technology rather than just, building more. It's that fundamental shift from hardware to software.
Okay, so the vision is truly inspiring. Gleaming city clusters, incredible transit, urban life powered by AI. My mind is already buzzing with the sheer scale and ambition. But you hinted earlier that there's a flip side to this dazzling vision. As with any grand blueprint, the devil is always in the details, and some of those details reveal, well, maybe surprising cracks beneath the surface. What are we missing? What's the real challenge lurking beneath this impressive exterior?
Absolutely. And the first, perhaps most unexpected challenge isn't about cutting-edge tech or sophisticated AI. It's actually about the oldest problem in the book. Money. For all the talk of smart cities and AI-driven urban brains, China's urban future isn't held back by a lack of tech. It seems to be held back by a lack of cash. Local governments, you see, have traditionally relied very heavily on land sale income, but they're now facing a severe financial squeeze.
Right, because the property market cooled off dramatically.
Exactly. That revenue, which once flowed freely, fell a significant 16% in 2024, and it remains stubbornly weak here in 2025. This puts the brakes on crucial, often unglamorous, but absolutely vital upgrades.
So we're talking about the boring but essential stuff, like drainage retrofits, replacing old pipelines, even the data infrastructure needed to power these smart cities. Without that land sale money, how do they fund these things?
Precisely. This squeeze directly impacts those crucial, often unglamorous projects. And it raises a really important question. Without new, stable funding sources, maybe central government transfers, a shift perhaps to user charging for services, or even that politically tricky property tax, how will these essential projects actually get funded? This is a critical point flagged by external analysis. Reuters, the Wall Street Journal, pointed this out. Without a stable financial foundation, even the most brilliant plans remain just that, plans on paper.
That is a crucial distinction. So if local governments are effectively strapped for cash, are we looking at a situation where the grand vision for smart cities might be built on shaky financial ground, especially for those less glamorous but vital projects?
That's a major risk factor.
And even if the money were there, simply building more physical connections isn't enough, is it? You mentioned something else, more than just laying down new tracks.
You hit the nail on the head. That leads us straight to the second challenge. These city clusters need robust rules and institutional frameworks, not just more rails. While new infrastructure like high-speed rail is undoubtedly vital for physical connectivity, the true productivity upside of these mega-urban regions comes from fostering frictionless labor and service markets.
Frictionless.
Meaning people can move not just physically, but also access services and jobs seamlessly across city lines. Imagine someone commuting from Suzhou to Shanghai, like Deng Anqing, but then finding their child can't easily attend a school in Shanghai because of administrative hurdles or different standards.
Okay, so it's about the social infrastructure catching up with the physical infrastructure.
Right.
Things like making education and healthcare portable, maybe unified transit fares, data sharing standards between different city administrations.
It's exactly that. The urban planner, Alain Bertot, has written extensively about how density and the connective tissue of regulations and services often matter even more than municipal borders. China's current cluster playbook, while really strong on the physical infrastructure, still needs to develop these deeper intercity coordination mechanisms to truly unlock the full potential. Without them, you get incredibly efficient trains, but people still run into bureaucratic walls when they get off.
That makes perfect sense. It's the software of governance, not just the hardware of the city. And speaking of physical structures, the plan explicitly says no large-scale expansion. So what happens to all that existing urban fabric? The third point you raised is that the focus needs to shift to retrofit rather than just new ribbon cutting. Can you elaborate?
Certainly. The plan correctly states no large-scale expansion, which is a necessary and frankly welcome pivot. But the property market itself is undergoing a fundamental demand shift. The future isn't about building endless new housing estates on the periphery. It's actually going to be dominated by upgrading existing housing. ANZ, the bank, estimates that more than half of new housing demand in the next decade will come from people upgrading their current homes.
More than half. So not first-time buyers needing brand new builds.
Not primarily, no. It's people wanting better quality, better locations, maybe greener features in the homes they already live near or in. This implies a need for entirely new business models.
So the old model of massive property developers, throwing up entire new cities, that's fading. And we need new players focused on maintaining and improving what's already there.
Precisely. We need business models focused on retrofit finance, large-scale professional property management services, and lifecycle operation and maintenance contracts for buildings and infrastructure. This is a very different economic landscape from the one that powered China's growth for the last few decades. It's less about speculative new builds and much more about sustained quality urban upkeep, a shift that requires different skills, different financing, and frankly, a different mindset from developers.
And finally, a significant, maybe often overlooked challenge, particularly as we look at global climate trends. Climate resilience. You argued this must be programmatic and local, not just a series of flashy, one-off projects. Why is this so critical for China's urban future?
This is absolutely critical because China faces substantial and growing climate risks that directly threaten its urban centers. Think about the northern clusters like Beijing and Tianjin. They're grappling with chronic water stress. Nearly 80% of Beijing's urban water supply now has to be piped in hundreds of kilometers from the south to north diversion project.
An incredible feat of engineering, but also shows the scale of the local problem.
Exactly. And meanwhile, coastal clusters like the GBA and the Yangtze River Delta are highly vulnerable to typhoons and rising sea levels. China already loses about 1% of its GDP to floods annually.
1% of GDP? That's a staggering amount.
It is. So projects like sponge cities, where urban areas are designed to absorb and retain rainwater, are vital. But they need more than just initial construction budgets.
Right, you can't just build it and forget it.
Precisely. Sponge city upgrades, coastal defenses, they need multi-year funding commitments, consistent standards applied everywhere, and diligent maintenance. Without this programmatic approach, basically, embedding resilience into every aspect of urban planning and budget cycles, you get O&M gaps. And those gaps can quickly erode any initial benefits. Those grand projects could turn into costly liabilities, just like a beautifully designed building that falls into disrepair without proper upkeep. It's about ongoing vigilance, not just a one-time fix.
What a comprehensive picture. So we have this grand vision, the incredible scale, but also these really significant hurdles, financial, administrative, the shift in the property market, and these huge environmental challenges. If you're observing this shift from the outside, what are the practical, measurable signs you should look for? To understand if China is truly succeeding in this transformation, what should be on our radar?
That's a great question. If you're watching this unfold, there are several tangible indicators to keep an eye on. First, money. Pretty basic.
Always comes back to money.
It often does. Look for the size and timing of central fiscal support, maybe through special bonds or earmarked transfers, specifically for urban retrofits and that crucial data infrastructure. Also, critically, observe if local governments are successfully shifting toward more stable, owned source revenues. Are they moving away from that volatile reliance on land sales? That's key.
Okay, money first.
Yeah.
What else?
Second, mobility integration. We talked about the trains, but look deeper. Are we seeing things like cross-city fare, and payment interoperability? Are they introducing commuter passes that work seamlessly across cluster boundaries, say, between Shenzhen and Guangzhou?
So like integrated ticketing systems we see elsewhere.
Exactly. These are really leading indicators of real labor market integration. They show if people can truly move and work fluidly within these vast regions. Then there are people-centric reforms. Watch for concrete steps on hukou portability within these clusters.
The household registration system, that's a big one.
A huge one. The hukou traditionally ties people's access to vital public services, schools, healthcare, to their registered birthplace. Making that truly portable within a cluster is fundamental to making these places genuinely livable for everyone, not just those lucky enough to be registered in the most prosperous city core.
Got it. What's next?
Also important are operational KPIs, key performance indicators. Are cities actually publishing targets for things like flood loss reduction, remember that 1% of GDP figure, or response times for emergencies, average bus speeds, the number of good air quality days?
So proving the smart part actually delivers results.
Precisely. SMART needs outcome metrics, not just slick presentations or impressive data centers. We need to see if these systems are actually making life measurably better for residents. And finally, keep a close watch on Zhongyan as a pilot. This city of the future, south of Beijing, has seen massive spending, over 835 billion yuan reportedly. It's meant to be a model. Look beyond the initial relocations of state-owned firms. Look for resident-facing wins. Are there enough school seats? Is hospital throughput improving? What are the actual measurable commute times for ordinary residents?
So it needs to prove its vision works for people, not just as a showcase.
Exactly. It needs to deliver tangible benefits for the people living there. Otherwise, it risks becoming a very, very expensive white elephant.
So it really is about looking beyond the headlines and the grand pronouncements to the nuts and bolts of daily life and governance. And this isn't just about China's future, is it? It feels like a living blueprint, maybe a cautionary tale too, for the complexities of urban reinvention worldwide. Offers lessons for any nation grappling with how to make its cities more resilient, efficient, and truly human-centered.
I think that's right.
But what's the takeaway here for policymakers, perhaps, or planners, or even investors who might be watching these trends develop?
Well, if we connect all these threads, the material we've explored really offers something like a constructive playbook. First, bundle funding with standards. When central government provides funds, tie them to open data schemas, cybersecurity baselines, service-level agreements for maintenance on things like city brain systems. This prevents vendor lock-in, ensures things work together, and builds on China's existing data laws while ensuring long-term functionality.
Makes sense. Get the rules right from the start.
Second, prioritize that boring capital expenditure. Focus on drainage systems, pump stations, renewing old gas and water pipelines. These often offer the highest avoided loss per yuan spent. And critically, require public dashboards maybe to track backlog reduction and failure rates. That ensures accountability. Less glamorous than shiny new skyscrapers, maybe.
Definitely less glamorous than ribbon cuttings. More like inspecting sewer pipes. Tough sell for politicians.
It's a very tough sell. But often, that's where the highest returns on investment really lie in avoided disasters and disruptions. Third, make these clusters real for households. This means practical things, fast-tracking mutual recognition of professional licenses, setting up school admissions quotas for the children of cross-city commuters, creating unified digital IDs that work across the entire cluster.
The details that integrate the social fabric.
Exactly. Allowing people to truly belong and thrive across those old municipal boundaries. And finally, finance retrofits at scale. Pilot innovative models. Things like green REITs, maybe ESCO-style pay-as-you-save mechanisms for energy efficiency, building-level performance contracts. These can fund those essential energy, safety, and accessibility upgrades, aligning with where the property sector needs to go anyway towards services and sustainability.
This brings us, I think, to a final thought for you, our listeners, to consider. China's city cluster bet could indeed reshape everyday urban life on an unprecedented scale. It could impact millions of lives and fundamentally alter the country's economic trajectory. But the crucial question remains, doesn't it? Can the country match its grand big-picture ambition with what you might call the mundane excellence of consistent funding, clear standards, and diligent maintenance? Is the shift from just accumulating physical hardware to perfecting the software of city governance and, crucially, the balance sheet, is that the true determinant of success? Not just in China, perhaps, but globally, as cities everywhere seek to evolve beyond simple expansion. Thanks for listening. Follow us for daily insights into world affairs, and don't forget to like, comment, and share.